Hello and welcome to this first lesson in which we'll set up Unity, we'll connect the AI assistant to make sure that we can use it, and we'll set up our layout. This will allow us to begin working, so let's get started. We'll begin by opening the project in the newest available Unity version. Right now it's 6.4, and to do so I'm going to open the Unity Hub program, go into Projects and click Add New Project. For the editor version, let's pick the latest one and make sure that we're using the Universal 3D pipeline. This is going to determine how we're drawing the graphics, and because our game is going to be a combination between the 2D and 3D, this one is a good choice. Go to the place where you want to spawn a folder, and repositories is a good one for me. I keep all my projects here. Select the folder, name your game. I'm going to call it Totem Cards. Do not bother taking Use Unity version control, because if you were to use it, it's best to go with GitHub. And for now, click Create Project. You'll see your layout. Mine probably looks slightly different than yours, so I'm going to click on Layout and select Default. Now we need to make sure that we have Unity's assistant connected into the project so that this drop-down will work. To make it work, go into Window, Package Management and Package Manager, and in the window that opens, click on the plus button, Install Package from Git URL. Here type com.unity.ai.assistant and click Install. This will pull additional dependencies to have a peek inside of your project and to directly adjust it from within this Unity editor. If you see this pop-up, make sure to allow Unity's AI assistant to speak through the internet. And it's fully ready to be used. Jump into Edit, Preferences, and in the AI, enable the Asset Knowledge, which will give additional capabilities to the AI assistant so that it's able to understand what is inside of your files and decorations, even if they happen to have obscure names, like myweapon.fbx might be a sword, might be a gun, and if you have this thing ticked, it will be able to understand what the weapon.fbx means and what the other things within your project represent. We'll be working with AI through the chat system, and the agent will have direct control over your scripts. It will be able to spawn new scripts, adjust them, and sometimes it will break things. So make sure to also enable the checkpoints, and for that, let's use the system's Git. If you don't see this entry inside of the dropdown, in Google, type git download and head into git install. Pick Git for Windows x64 setup, not the portable one, but the full one. Install, restart your computer, and you should see it here. This will help you to take compact snapshots every time before the assistant starts to work on something. Because it is Git, the snapshots are going to be quite compact, and you'll be able to easily roll back the adjustment if the AI assistant broke something. Just keep in mind that it's going to be deleted after 1 or 2 weeks, and that those checkpoints are going to be saved in your project folder inside the library assistant checkpoints subfolders. Close this. In the dropdown, open the assistant, click on the tag, then drag and dock it somewhere where it's useful. To complete the setup, right-click on the assets folder and create a folder which is going to be called _GM. Underscore is going to put it on top, and all of our stuff should go inside of this folder. So let's take the scenes and the settings and drag them to be inside of here. Any kind of additional assets that we might import after purchasing them on Asset Store and so on are going to be landing in the assets, not inside of our _GM folder. Inside of the _GM, we're going to keep all of our scripts, all of the scenes, and everything that we, as developers, have created for our own game. External assets are going to be placed beside this folder. Well done for completing this lesson. In the next one, we'll start to sketch out the basics of our game. We'll create a board and totems to place on it, and we'll ask the assistant to script them so that they can be moved forward within the squares of the board. So I'll see you there. Welcome back. In this lesson, we're going to start working with Unity's AI assistant, asking it to plan and to create a couple of gameplay scripts for us. Our game is going to be happening on a rectangular board. We are going to be competing against the enemy player, and both ourselves and the enemy will have 3 character totems, which we can place on the grid within our game board. The game is going to proceed in turns. We'll have several cards on our hands, and every single turn we'll be able to either move the character or to give them an ability to do something within the board. There will be some obstacles on the board, and our characters have to navigate them around. But here is the point of the game. The characters are only allowed to step in the squares that nobody has ever yet visited. If they happen to be stuck and are not able to take any further moves, then the totem character is going to be removed. And of course, if either us or our opponent loses all of their 3 totems, they lose the game. Let's not ask the assistant to implement the whole thing from scratch. We're going to be doing it piece by piece, but it's a good idea to give them the overall understanding of the game. So let's first explain it in vague terms, just so that the AI understands what we're talking about, and then to ask it to plan through several steps to actually create the grid and the totems, so that they can be moved around. I'm asking it to please create a plan, thinking through the implementation of the grid, the character totems, and their movement within the grid. We also want to see the centers of each cell of the grid to confirm that it has the right size. I'm also going to mention that we are making a 3D game, so make sure the grid is visualizable in the 3D world. And because it's a plan, let's make sure we switch from the agent into the plan mode, so that it doesn't start to rush ahead implementing things. Okay, its plan is quite comprehensive and it's already thinking ahead multiple steps. I'm gonna discard and we'll follow up the agent, ensuring that it will only focus on the first part of this plan. So this is generally correct. However, I only want you to focus on the first part of the system, the grid itself. Make sure it's ready to be expanded with other scripts later on, but for now, focus just on the grid, the concept of a totem and its movement and visualization on the board. Let's approve, and it switches to the agent mode, so let's allow it to work through the plan. The agent should be able to create things in the world and to create new scripts and add them to the folders, but if you don't see anything happening, just make sure that it's not asking you for a permission to do something here. If it does, click Allow, and to avoid having to confirm your permission every single time, you can click on the setting button here and click Auto Run. This gives the agent the full set of permissions and speeds up the development. Because it's beta, sometimes Unity might have glitches with AI Assistant. In my case, the chat got stuck halfway through the plan, so I'm gonna open up the new chat and paste my earlier messages in here, but making sure to adjust any kind of requests that were already completed. For example, instead of asking it to make a grid, the totem placeholders and so on, I'm saying that we asked another AI to make a grid, implying that somebody else has already done it. This way, Unity's assistant will not get confused and will not try to redo anything that was already implemented. Now its task is only to implement the script that allows us to test the movement of the totems. Great, it's looking very promising. This last message took 22 credits, which were deducted from here, so pay attention to this thing. We have about 300 left, which should be plenty, but keep in mind that we're also going to be generating 3D models and textures, which will also be consuming credits. Let's have a look at what AI implemented. So it created the grid manager, which handles the 8x8 grid logic, mapping the grid coordinates to 3D world space. Which means if we say basically the bottom left corner, it's going to be here in the position of the world. The cell object tracks the occupancy and whether the tile has been visited. So it's already thinking about preventing somebody from stepping back on the tile. Grid Visualizer generates small yellow spheres at the center of every cell to confirm grid alignment and scale. Well, I don't see any kind of yellow spheres, but I do see gray ones. The board is clearly visible and has 3 player totems and 3 enemy totems on opposite ends. We also have a totem script with a try move forward method. It checks if the target cell is within bounds, hasn't yet been visited, and not currently occupied. We also have capsule colliders on all the totems to enable interaction. So let's open up the sample scene. It has a star, so make sure to save it. We have the player team, which is an empty game object, and the enemy team. And they have the player totem, which can be selected, and we can see that in project it's located in prefabs, totem prefab, and the enemy totem, which I presume also points to the same prefab. This is useful because if we now change this prefab inside of the project, they're going to be updated. And we also have the interaction handler. So the totem interaction handler mentioned here, the AI is saying that it's using the new input system, and it's promising that we can click on the totem to try and move it forward. Let's enter the play mode and see if it's true. I'm going to use this scale to zoom up slightly, maybe increase the size of the window, and click on one of my totems. Excellent, so they're moving fine. And out of curiosity, let me just try and click on the enemy totems. and those are correctly not moving because they belong to the enemy. So that's good. We have the grid, we have the totems, and the totems can be clicked and moved around. In the next video, we're going to be working further on the movement of the characters, and we'll be upgrading the gameplay so that the trap totems that don't have anywhere to move are removed from the board. I'll see you in the next video.